Here's Mark Carney's current situation. Carney won a minority government in the April election. He was close to a majority, only 3 seats away in the end, but close to a majority is still a minority. The last prime minister with a similar attitude was a guy named Joe Clark, who won 6 seats short of a majority, proposed a budget without a plan to obtain opposition support, and then the government fell. For reference, if the budget vote doesn't pass, the government falls, because the budget is a matter of confidence. And why is this relevant now? Well, Carney's government is about to present its budget, and as of now, they are publicly suggesting that they are scared that it won't pass. Why might it not pass? Well, Carney's budget seems to be managing to make practically everyone unhappy in one way or another. There are a few reasons that the Conservatives aren't interested in backing the budget. For one, they are the official opposition, who rarely back anything from the government to begin with. But it's not unheard of. The Liberals did back a few of Stephen Harper's budgets when he was Prime Minister, and Pierre did put out a few conditions, which, if followed, Pierre suggested that they could consider supporting the budget under. The key condition that Pierre laid out in a letter to Prime Minister Carney is that the deficit must be under $42 billion, which is the deficit that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau left behind. He also said that the budget should lower taxes on food and reduce income and capital gains taxes, which is to be expected from a Conservative. The Liberals responded by calling these ludicrous demands, and the government itself suggesting that the deficit will be substantial. When Carney and Poilievre had a face-to-face meeting, it seemed like the meeting was respectful, but didn't actually get any concessions out of either men. The Bloc Quebecois has seemed unwilling to back the budget since the start of this conversation. They put out a list of 18 demands, among which 6 of them being listed as non-negotiable. Among these non-negotiables, one of them is a $11.6 billion increase in federal health transfers to the provinces over the next 5 years, giving Quebec $814 million in exchange for ending the fuel charge, extending the 2022 decision to boost old age security payments by 10% for people between 65 and 74 years old, increasing social housing transfers by $1.4 billion a year, and creating a new provincial transfer program for infrastructure. The Bloc is basically saying all or nothing to Prime Minister Carney. And while these demands are kind of difficult for Carney to meet in their entirety, they're asking the Prime Minister, who is already likely about to present a budget with an extremely large deficit, to spend even more money, and on one particular province, in exchange for not having an election. This leaves the NDP with leverage. In spite of the high deficit, Carney himself and the NDP are both calling this an austerity budget, a budget that will cut services and public sector jobs in an attempt to control spending. As you might know, the NDP is the party of social programs and larger government, not of cuts. They are signaling very strong discontent with this austerity budget, and interim leader Don Davies says that his party won't support a budget with such an approach and wants to see more investment in healthcare and infrastructure. So what is working against a November writ drop? Well, for one, we did just have an election in April. Not that this means anything procedurally. The 1979 and 1980 elections were only 273 days apart. But in my opinion, most Canadians, even very partisan ones like myself, are not all that keen to go into an election so soon after the last one. No party is really in a spot that they could guarantee their goals for an election coming true. Carney isn't in a position for a guaranteed majority. Pierre isn't in a position for a guaranteed win. I'd be shocked if the Bloc made substantive gains. The NDP maybe could try and win back party status. This while they have no money and no leader, given that they have interim leader Don Davies until the new NDP leader is elected on March 29, 2026. The new leader will be one of these people. The money thing is a big deal, as the parties just spent a lot of money on the April election, as to be expected. The funding reimbursement for major parties based on certain criteria for their election expenses, which is up to 60% of their campaign expenses, will not be given by Elections Canada until next year. So, will an election happen right away? Well, as of now, I don't think there's any guarantee one way or another. Don't get me wrong, it shouldn't even be a discussion. Carney only needs one party to vote for his budget, and he continues governing without an election. And I think it would look very bad for him to go back to the polls because he couldn't get one of the 3 opposition parties to back his budget. Or voters could punish the opposition for forcing an election so quickly and give Mark Carney his majority. Who knows? The NDP, the Bloc, or two individual MPs from somewhere might abstain on the vote or not vote and allow the budget to pass. Or Carney might prorogue or close Parliament to delay a vote altogether. But this early struggle does seem to foretell what might come in the 45th Parliament, as in not very much legislation being passed and an early dissolution. Once the rebates are out and the NDP has a leader, the only thing stopping the opposition from toppling the government at any time is what they view to be the most politically strategic timing, the polls, not other factors like right now. But what do you think? Will the budget pass and Carney continue to govern, or will it fail and Canada is plunged into another election? Who would win said election? And if the budget does pass, when do you think the election will be? Let me know in the comments, but I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing, as that helps me out a lot. But apart from that, have a good rest of your day and see you.